On to the Wake Up Call channel. Are you seeing a pattern yet? Are you seeing what's coming? They tell you ahead of time what's coming. And we have yet another global tech outage that's affecting airlines, businesses, hospitals, banks, and even once again, 911. Because what better way could you cause chaos to bring an order? Because remember, the motto of these secret societies is order out of chaos, divide and conquer. Well, everybody's already divided. We're all kind of just waiting for them to bring about the conquering because it's coming. But the order out of chaos, this is how they're going to do it. They are going to use a major global tech outage because they know that people cannot live or function without their technology. In fact, we've allowed them to gain so much control over our lives because we've gotten comfortable with the internet and with their technology. And that's exactly what they've wanted. There is a lot to unravel with this story. But before I show you some of the news clips, remember, this is happening continually. There is repetition here. We have seen 911 outages across America over the last couple of months. I've talked about that, and nobody's been suspicious of it. We've seen predictive programming with the Purge films, with Leave the World Behind. That is what they're attempting to create here. And they don't need to gaslight you or do other things to cause this chaos. All they need to do is press the off switch and let everybody who is already unhinged because of all of the stuff that they're putting out every single day in the media to divide us and gaslight us. Once everything is off for a period of time, chaos will ensue. But listen to the news anchors talk about all of the stuff that's happening around America, including people showing up to ATMs, not being able to access their money, people not being able to call 911, people stuck and stranded in airports, all because we've allowed technology to gain control over our day-to-day lives.
Affecting us here at home and nationally and globally. We are being told by the Associated Press that there is a global internet outage, and it's an issue affecting everything from airlines, banks, airports, media outlets, including us. Right now, we too are experiencing a lot of technical difficulties because of this outage. It's something that is affecting, like I said, airlines, banks, media, offices from U.S. all the way to Australia. I want to get right to the very latest that we're getting when it comes to airlines. Airlines affected that we know at this hour. Delta and United flights have been grounded. Airports that are currently closed: LaGuardia, Aspen Airport there in Colorado, Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport, Boston Logan, Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Sonoma County Airport in California. We're working right now to try to get in contact with Palm Beach International, Fort Lauderdale, and of course Miami Airport to see what it means for us here at home. Something else affected. Right now, we're talking about 911 services. 911 is experiencing communication malfunctions. Again, we are not confirming that this is tied to this global outage, but right now it's all coming at the same time. Right now, we do not know when this will be back up. This all started happening around just after 1 a.m. Again, we're talking airlines, airports, banks. Right now, a situation here, we're able to connect to the internet, but we're told there's some kind of malfunction when it comes to a global cyber outage, an internet outage in many, many areas of the world, impacting us, the United States, through Australia.
Now, one of the other things we're hearing, banks are also being affected by this outage. Our news crew has been out on the roads this morning trying to take a look at this. We've got some video of ATM machines down. We spotted out of service messages on ATMs at Commerce Bank on Washington Avenue and Bank of America on St. Louis Avenue. Now, the Bank of America ATMs did recommend that customers visit other locations, but from what we're seeing, this seems to be a widespread issue. We're also hearing some reports of outages at some U.S. bank ATMs. Now, we have been contacting our local hospital systems across the bi-state to find out whether they're dealing with some disruptions this morning. Just moments ago, Touche Regional Hospital, that's in Coquia Heights, did confirm with our newsroom they are experiencing technical issues. Actually, just minutes ago, we got confirmation that the hospital has switched to recording data on paper because of these issues. Now, they do say they're still able to fully care for patients. Now, we are getting information, like I said, this is a widespread issue from the Associated Press. We're hearing that ADT security systems also dealing with problems this morning because of this outage. So if you have this system, maybe for your home or your business, you may want to check on the status of that this morning. Visa, Amazon also experiencing some problems, according to the Associated Press.
All right, so, we've been tracking some of the people across the world talking about this outage, and you can kind of see on the screen there. We're just seeing a lot of scenes from airports right now. A lot of people have been stuck overnight in airports. This is scenes from the Delhi airport after that Microsoft outage there. Just incredible pictures as people are waiting to figure out, okay, can I get on my plane? Where can I go? Stuck on the tarmac at LAX because of a minor service card field. Okay, I'm not going to read all that. But anyway, the point is that there are a lot of people right now having some major travel issues.
So for anybody that's not paying attention, this is all being done by design. They've created a boogeyman in your mind. They want you to believe that these types of things are normal. And they want you to believe, well, who's responsible for the outage? Well, it's just some guy in a basement somewhere in Russia who has nothing better to do, of course. That's who's responsible for it, because some guy who has no motive whatsoever for innocent civilians around the world apparently has a motive to shut off the power, to shut off their electronics, to make it so that they can't call 911, so people literally are just dying who need emergency services. Yeah, that's the motive of them. Of course not. This is the motive of the global government. For those of you that are stumbling upon my channel, who are still stuck in the left-right paradigm, it's time to remove yourself from it. Democrats and Republicans in America are working together to bring about a new order. They are deceiving you by pretending that they are against one another so that you're against your fellow civilian and citizen, instead of rising up against what is clearly tyranny that's occurring. Right now, we are seeing them continually work this narrative and this theme of a massive global outage. And this is not something new. This is something that's been occurring. Let me show you them at the World Economic Forum. Let me show you them out of their own mouths, the FBI in America. They're all talking about over and over and over again how not a matter of if a cybersecurity attack occurs on the United States of America, it's just a matter of when. And of course, you don't see them doing anything to stop it or prevent it or telling us what person or group could be behind it, because they don't need to explain. They're just preparing you for it when they decide to wake up, which they probably have a date already set, and press the off switch. These are all experimental trial runs to make sure that they could shut everything off at once that they want to see how much chaos they can cause, and to see how you react to it. Kind of like if you were doing an experiment on something, a rat, a mouse, like we see them do in quote-unquote science all the time. They do these experiments to see how the mouse would react to the chemical it's putting in its body, or the maze that they put them in and taser them and do all this other inhumane stuff with. Well, you're the experiment that they're working on. They're watching how you respond to these things. And you might say, well, how would they know how I'm responding? Well, social media is literally, and the internet is your consciousness in a sense, because you're uploading your thoughts to the internet around the clock, and they're monitoring it. But look at some of the programming that we've seen from the World Economic Forum where they've talked about us being prepared for this. And remember, the notion of a great reset, everybody out there, especially the alt-right media who is continually gatekeeping, is trying to make you think that the Great Reset already occurred. They want you to think the Great Reset had to do with that outbreak that occurred a few years ago. It did not occur with that. That was a part of the reset. There are stages and steps in this to Agenda 2030, which many believe is now Agenda 2025. And don't forget my video about Project 2025 and how that looks in coordinates with Agenda 2030. But their foot is on the gas pedal. And one of the steps that they need is a major grid shutdown for a reset. People go, well, why would they ever do that? They'll lose control over people. For a temporary period of time, they'll lose control. But their narrative will still be getting fed because people will have radios and they'll be feeding them a narrative that it's Russia or it's China. And they'll fall for it hook, line, and sinker because they'll have nothing else they could depend on other than their radio or word of mouth from a neighbor or somebody who's getting fed government propaganda, blaming it on some boogeyman somewhere else, so that people at home don't realize it's their own government doing it. But remember, a reset also includes your bank account. It also includes many of these other things that they can only do with a large permanent grid shutdown. And by permanent, I mean a few months. So then when we come back online, you're going to be more compliant. You're going to be willing to get a digital ID and do as the government says so that you can get back online and everything could be back online without any type of hacking, because there'll be more security measures in place so that these things don't occur in the future. And you won't think anything of it. You'll just be thrilled to have the internet back on. But the reality of the matter is they're going to be doing this when we hear about the Great Reset and owning nothing and being happy. Well, when your bank account hits zero, as you see in some of those clips, where you can't even access the ATM, what are you going to do about it? What do you think most of these weak civilians are going to do about it? They're going to do nothing, because their next door neighbor's also going to be at zero. And the guy across the street's also going to be at zero. And that's the point, while these people hide underground. But listen to some of the stuff right out of the mouths of the World Economic Forum, where they're telling you that this major cyber attack is going to come. It's going to be worse than the outbreak. But they're not going to tell you who's responsible for it. They're just telling you it's coming because they're the ones who are behind it.
Global Security Outlook Report 2023. This is a result of research in collaboration with the forum's communities and our partner Accenture, in which we've interviewed and sought input from over 300 executives globally. The most striking finding that we found is that 93% of cyber leaders and 86% of cyber business leaders believe that the geopolitical instability makes a catastrophic cyber event likely in the next 2 years.
But still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services. Our society as a whole would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
And again, if you don't know what this looks like, the predictive programming has been out there. I've talked about, and that's available over on the website. I've talked about Leave the World Behind. Okay, I've talked about the predictive programming in that, and my breakdowns on that film and all the stuff involving Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama, are available on UprisingLives.com, along with my thousands of other videos that show you that these things are coming in advance, that they tell you these things. You don't need to find a YouTube prophet or anybody else out there. You have to critically, consciously be watching and observing what they're telling you. They reveal themselves as part of universal law. They show you this stuff coming. They tell you this stuff. And everybody out there keeps seeking YouTube prophets and Christian prophets. They are showing you this stuff. They're revealing themselves. You have to pay attention. And that's part of the reason that all of my videos have been removed from all of these platforms, is because they keep doing it because they don't want you to wake up to what's going on. So those videos are available on UprisingLives.com. So Leave the World Behind, obviously everybody out there knows. They don't understand Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama's involvement in it. And they don't think for 1 second that it's suspicious at all that the movie about shutting down the grid and a massive outage around the United States of America, why would Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, know anything about that? Does he have a background in tech and IT? What would he know about? Well, he wouldn't know anything about it other than the script that they're going to play on you, because this stuff is all planned out beforehand and they condition you with these movies. But Barry Soetoro knows exactly what's coming, and they show it to you in that film, as well as the Purge movies, where they use predictive programming of a world with 911 is all off, no emergency services, everything is shut down and chaos ensues, right? Here's some of the predictive programming that's been out there from these films, which are really showing you what's coming more so than anything else.
Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable.
Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable.
Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable.
We are seeing ongoing cyber attacks across the country.
What just happened here is happening everywhere. We need to get to that bunker Danny told us about, and we need to get there now. You know something? I had a sneaking suspicion, but I wanted more information first. All the signs were there, sure, but I didn't want to scare anyone. Call me crazy because it is crazy. It would have made more sense if we were on the brink of an all-out invasion. I didn't think we'd actually let something like this happen. I thought we were smarter than that. My primary client works in the defense sector. I spent a lot of time cost-benefit analysis of military campaigns. There was one program in particular that terrified my client the most. A simple 3-stage maneuver that could topple a country's government from within. The first stage was isolation, disable their communication and transportation. Make the target as deaf, dumb, and paralyzed as possible for the second stage. Synchronize chaos. Terrorize them with covert attacks and misinformation. Overwhelming their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists in their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people would start turning on each other. The third stage would happen on its own. What's the third stage? A coup d'etat. Civil war. Collapse. This program was considered the most cost-effective way to destabilize a country. Because if the target nation was dysfunctional enough, it would, in essence, do the work for you. Whoever started this wants us to finish it.
Wait now. All the roads are blocked. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now. I can barely do anything without my cell phone and my GPS. I am a useless man.
So that's what they're programming you for, right? And don't forget Barry Sartorto's production company, Higher Ground, which, again, I expose over the website. The logo for that is the Masonic staircase. I mean, you can't make up this stuff. It's so in our faces. It's so obvious. It's so easy to see. So, again, they want you to believe that when a major IT outage comes, when everything is offline, that it's some boogeyman that they've already conditioned you into believing. China, Russia, some militant group, Al-Qaeda, whoever. And you need to understand it's your own government working with the other governments of the world, NATO, etc. The global government. All of these people have been put in these positions. None of them elected. Okay? And they're keeping you thinking that your vote counts and that the left and right, and looking at all these other distractions while they're moving forward with this. Nobody's even blinking at a story like this, being suspicious of their government. They're just going, oh, that's an inconvenience. And then, of course, when there's a mass grid shutdown, they'll go along with whatever the government says when they bring everything back online. And again, that's because we've given the government control over our lives because of this technology. And it's never been about money. Everybody thinks everything's about money. That's the alt-right media, always spinning money. Oh, big pharma, money, money, money. Control. It's always about control. It's always been about control. They print money. They don't have to worry about making money because they print it. And then your tax money lines their pockets. Do you see them doing anything with your tax money? Of course not, because they don't. They pay themselves with your tax money. They print money when they want money. That's just basic common sense at this point. It is about control. And the technology is what gives them total control. So you're looking at internet outages, Visa card down, AT&T again, Xbox, T-Mobile, 911 being offline again, Amazon, businesses, banks, hospitals not able to function. This is how you create order out of chaos. When we talk about order out of chaos, this is how you do it. You pull a plug, you press an off switch, and you blame it on built-in narratives. That's why you always hear these narratives about Russia and hackers, and how about all these other stories which I've exposed over and over again about romance scams and all this other crap online where people are pretending to be someone they're not, and then people are getting scammed out of money. People think they're talking to Keanu Reeves and Tom Cruise because somebody puts an avatar of them, and we could all look at it and say, wow, these people are really dumb. The stories are formulated. They're staged. They're there to plant seeds in your head for a digital ID. And when the grid is off, it's only going to be a short period of time. Why? Because they don't want you to become self-sufficient and self-dependent. If you're able to survive, if you have food and water, and you're able to mentally survive what's coming, which I've been trying to prepare people for a long time, not just having food and water, but being able to mentally prepare, mentally understand that whatever narrative comes in around you from others is not the real narrative. Russia and all these other things, because the radio is going to feed them false narratives, and they're going to spread that false narrative because that's how mind control works. They tell a friend, and so on and so on. But they can't do this grid shutdown for a long period of time. They can't do the switch over to green for a long period of time because if people survive it, they don't want people to realize how much better life is without technology. They don't want people to, when the grid comes back on, to say, you know what, I'd rather live offline. I feel better. My mind is working better. I'm thinking better. I'm not depressed. Because that's really what the internet and technology has done to people, not just the radiation exposure, the mass hypnosis and psychosis it's created among human beings, right? So it won't be for long, but a couple of weeks is enough to weed people out and kill people off with a grid shutdown because people don't have food and water. That's why they've wanted you to be dependent on things like Uber Eats, not just to enslave yourself in your home, but so that you don't have food stored up and you're used to getting your food delivered to you. And you don't even know what farming is. You don't even know that with the grid shutdown, the majority of people who have well water aren't even able to pump their well because they don't have electricity. They don't know this stuff, most people, because they haven't been taught it. Why haven't you been taught it? Because they don't want you to be self-sufficient. They want you to be dependent on them. So when the government comes around giving you handouts, when you don't have food and water, and you don't have the internet and all this other stuff, and they say, hey, come down to our FEMA camp, and you say, I got to go down there, and I don't have food and water. And they say, well, you're also going to have to put this in your body. You'll be more compliant to do the things that they want you to do, which is get nanotech underneath your skin. One thing among many things that they want you to do, along with your digital ID and everything else. So these stories are out there to condition you. The news is not to inform, it's to condition. It doesn't mean that these things aren't happening. It doesn't mean the outages aren't happening. They are happening. But it's not for the reasons that you think. You're being conditioned into accepting this when it happens and then looking to the government to come in and save you. And of course, the government's going to come in with a crown on their head and a cape on their back, and they're going to say, we're here to help. We're here to help. We're here to help you from the problem that we created on our own. But of course, we won't tell you that. We'll just make it so that you are more compliant to us. You're thankful to us because we gave you your electricity back and we gave you your phone back. And now, in order for all these things to go forward, you got to do this, 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 and this. And people will comply. They will comply because they will experience something like they've never experienced before, especially in America with the grid shutdown. It is going to cause utter chaos. Those movies, the predictive programming we've seen, are spot on. Because people, if you look at somebody who loses their phone, have you ever been around someone who loses their phone, even for a few hours? They lose their mind. They're like literally about to drop everything they do to go to Verizon or AT&T to get a new phone, to get a replacement phone. They can't even go. If they call and they go, hey, we'll send you a phone, it'll be here in a couple of days. They can't live like that. They're like, I got to go get a temporary phone, or I got to get this. What about my numbers? What about their whole lives are dependent, and this is what the government's wanted. This is what the government has done. This is how the government always planned on gaining total control. That's why there have been years and years and years with nothing going on. Everybody's just living their lives. Everything's moving more and more towards the internet. It started with PayPal, then it's online, and then everything just spread where everybody does everything online. Everybody's consciousness is online. They're more interested in staying indoors, posting on the internet than going out and meeting people, right? Obviously, the outbreak contributed to that. And now that X amount of time has gone by, which is their friend, they know that you need the internet to survive, that you need the internet to look things up. Nobody has books anymore, right? If the grid was off, the first thing someone would say is, all right, well, I got to figure out how to farm. Let me Google it. Oh, wait, I can't figure out how to farm because Google doesn't work and I don't have books and I don't know how to do anything because the system has left me stupid because we went to school for 20 years to learn about nothing except fake history to create a false illusion of reality. And that's what this system has done. That's what this system is. We've all been put into the system. We're all on the same playing field here. Okay, I was in the system. You were in the system. The majority of people got put into the system. And it really goes back to the school system and our parents and our grandparents who put us into the institutions to give us this false reality of what the world is and to try to go and do all these other things, these jobs, a dream job, and have zero capability of functioning in the world. Doesn't mean that everybody listening, I know a lot of you have your own things that you could do, trades that you could do, of course. But I'm saying overall, the system, the way that it's been set up, is for something like this, a major outage, to affect us so much so that we will do whatever they say to get back online. And that's what they know will occur. And that's why they're telling you a cyber attack is coming and it's showing you that it's coming, because their motto is order out of chaos. What would cause the most chaos? Flipping a switch, shutting off 911, shutting off your bank account, right? And if you come back online and everybody's bank account is at zero, because remember, a great reset isn't just about making you stay inside for a few months in quarantine. A great reset is about resetting everything, including your bank account. If your neighbor is at zero and your guy across the street's at zero and you're at zero, then you all shrug your shoulders and eventually you go, fine. I might have had $1 million and my neighbor might have had 10 cents, but now it's all equal. We're all in this together, right, folks? All these mottos that they've been giving us. While the elites, of course, have their millions of dollars, all the resources, and are hiding underground, people will eventually just go, fine, we don't have any money anymore because we put it all into the banks. Everything was online. Now everything's at zero. Oopsie daisy. And there you go with your great reset. It takes a major worldwide outage to do that. Then if people out there don't think it's coming, think again. Think again. It's coming. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.